I do love the paint job on this one. Really came out.
Yeah, it's like a green apple.
Yeah, it's funny that it's got like this orange overcoat, pearlescent, that like it does weird chromatic diffraction with the
candy apple green.
Something like that. I kind of think of it more like a orangey limesicle.
It's a lime otter pop.
Otter
pop.
I don't know what's an otter pop.
Oh, those frozen icicles. Frozen.
Is it like the big ones? They're like.
It's kind of like a tube shape. It's a frozen.
Yeah, it's big. It's in a big tube. Like there's no stick. It's just a big old stick of.
Yeah, stick of frozen ice that's flavored.
Yeah. Yeah, ice water, like sugar ice water.
Yeah, sugar ice water. Yeah.
Or just sugar ice.
Yeah, I remember we used to have those a lot when I was a kid, and they're still around. I still make them.
Dude, I've got a fucking hilarious story about one of those.
An otter pop?
Yes. I didn't know that was the name of those, but I am very familiar with them. Like we used to my parents used to get them a lot when I was a kid, and so like when I was 4 or 5 years old, at some point I you know how when you're a kid you just get in these phases where you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna do this like this or like that, right? So I had this phase where I used to like to see how fast I could eat a banana, right? And try to do it in like 2 or 3 bites. And so it was like this really hot day, sometime in July, probably later July. And I'm like 5 years old and hanging out in the back deck. Parents are, you know, in the yard, futzing around with gardening or whatever. And I decided, I'm like, oh my god, it's so hot. I'm gonna, you know, get one of those otter pops and, you know, eat it. So I go to the freezer, pull out a blue
bites?
one. I pull out a blue one, and I go back out to the deck, and I peel this thing, and then I start looking at it, and then fucking super genius, power of association, right? Like, these things are kind of like a big straight blue banana. And I can eat a banana in 3 bites. I bet you if I really tried, I could probably do this in 3 bites. So like, I fucking peel the thing, and then I get like 2 bites in, and I'm like chewing on it, and I get such a bad ice cream headache, I literally just completely and utterly blacked out. Fucking just completely blacked out. And I'm sitting on like the kind of one of those fold back lawn reclining. It's like not just a chair. It's like a straight couch, right? And I'm sitting on one of those, and I fucking so when I black out, I pitch forward into the right, do a face plant in the deck, and I like put one of my I got like baby front teeth, and I put one of my front teeth through my lip into the deck, and it sticks into the deck, and it like falls out when I get rolled over. Yeah, so I'm totally blacked out when all that happens, and I'm like 5 years old, right? So then I wake up an undetermined amount of time later. It's probably only about like half a minute or a minute later, if that. My mom's over me, completely and utterly freaking out, being all like, oh my god, what did you do? What did you do? And then I can hear my dad off to the left, off to the side, and he's actually puking his guts up, and I like look down, and I am literally fucking covered with blood all the way down to my knees. And then I thought my mom was bleeding all over me, and I like pushed her away, and she's like, no, you're the one that's bleeding. And then like the shock hit me, and I ended up having to get fucking stitches in my lip, and
what the
ridiculous.
fuck?
I know. I almost killed, and my mom said I was out cold for like at least 30 plus seconds, and she said that at one point that she was having trouble finding a pulse, and the doctor was like, "Well, it's definitely possible his heart might stop for a bit." Like, I mean, he was out that cold, like, because you know, even going into the deck and the tooth coming out didn't even wake me up at first. Like, it's crazy, man. All from a popsicle, an otter pop.
I had no idea brain freeze could be so dangerous.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, that's a lot of ice to try to eat all at once, and it was super hot out. I mean, it was like 90 degrees. So, it's not a story I usually...
That's usually the one you tell on your first date.
Yes.
It's always
But
it's always an icebreaker.
Oh yeah, barnstormer, real ice melter. And I start talking about all my Star Wars collectibles.
Yep, that's always good too.
And then I start talking about all my serial killer memorabilia. I collect World War I German Army regalia.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, reading about history is pretty cool, but fucking collecting shit like that, that's always been a little bit weird. I don't know, that kind of skews me. I'm just like, ew, that's kind of like all that war stuff. Like, there's bad mojo, and you know, any stuff that was actually went through the war, especially anything on metal.
Tailgater still got it. Might have been a better choice in this truck just because Tailgater's better at handling technical stuff.
Yeah,
the Reinhardt's kind of
heavy.
Understeers.
Yeah, it feels a little heavy, is what it feels like to me. For
the Tailgater is more snappy in the turns. It's easier to drive.
That was a pretty solid one. That's a pretty funky paint job. Is that must be one of those GTA?
It might be that.